Frank Lucas was born in 1930 in LaGrange, North Carolina. He didn't grow up around luxury or wealth. He grew up around struggle, sharecropper farms, racism, and poverty. Every morning he saw his parents break their backs in the fields. He swore one day he would be rich, at any cost. One night, Frank watched a cousin get shot by a pack of racist Klan members. The police did nothing. The killers walked away, laughing. Frank was only a child. But something snapped. He believed only power could protect you. At 16, he took a bus north to New York City. He stepped into Harlem, a world filled with jazz, gambling, hustlers, and drugs. Everyone was chasing money fast. Frank wanted in. At first, he robbed small stores, pickpocketed, and scammed. He slept in cheap rooms, ate leftover food, and learned every corner of Harlem. He wasn't feared yet, but he was hungry. Frank eventually met Ellsworth "Bumpy" Johnson, the legendary Harlem gangster. Bumpy controlled loans, gambling, and street business. He saw potential in Frank. The boy was fearless and loyal. Bumpy didn't just teach him to beat people. He taught him how to negotiate, intimidate, and build networks. He taught him how to wear suits, how to speak to politicians, how to bribe police. In 1968, Bumpy Johnson died of a heart attack in a Harlem restaurant. Frank watched the king of Harlem collapse. He realized, power must be taken before someone else claims the throne. After Bumpy's funeral, Frank began visiting suppliers directly. He didn't want middlemen. He didn't want Italians or Cubans or Colombians controlling him. He wanted control from the source. Frank had an insane plan. Travel to Southeast Asia, to the Golden Triangle, and buy heroin straight from the jungles. Everyone said he was suicidal. Frank didn't care. During the Vietnam War, he flew to Bangkok. He met corrupt officers, warlords, and tribal leaders. He saw mountains covered in poppy plants. He found a farmer who produced extremely pure heroin. Frank bought heroin 95 to 99% pure. He branded it Blue Magic. No one in America had seen anything like it. It hit like a hammer, but it was clean. Addicts called it perfection. Now he needed to ship tons of it home. That's when the darkest idea came. He smuggled heroin in the coffins of dead American soldiers. The drug was packed under the bodies. No one checked the remains of fallen heroes. When Blue Magic hit the streets, Harlem exploded. Dealers fought to sell it. Addicts scraped money from everywhere to get more. Frank became the center of the city's drug bloodstream. The Italian Mafia was furious. Frank bypassed them, sold it pure, and sold it cheaper. People abandoned the Mafia suppliers. Frank Lucas became a threat. Frank didn't trust outsiders. He flew his family from North Carolina. Brothers, cousins, nephews, all got roles. It became a family cartel. Frank bought a mansion in Teaneck, New Jersey. Marble floors, luxury furniture, expensive cars. He hid wealth outside Harlem, clever and quiet. But the flash would eventually destroy him. At a Muhammad Ali fight, Frank wore a $100,000 chinchilla coat. Everyone stared. Under the lights, he sat ringside next to celebrities. The FBI noticed him instantly. That coat was his death sentence. New York police were drowning in corruption. Detectives stole drugs from dealers and resold them. They raided stash houses not to arrest, but to rob. Frank paid officers to protect his empire. Blue Magic killed thousands. Needles in alleys. Collapsed bodies on subways. Mothers selling furniture to feed their habits. Harlem became a battlefield of human pain. When rivals threatened him, Frank responded violently. Dealers who cut his product disappeared. People who betrayed him vanished. Frank didn't flinch. He believed fear was cheaper than loyalty. The Gambinos and Lucchese's noticed their profits drop. Meetings were held. Threats were made. Frank survived every attempt because he wasn't scared, and he was unpredictable. One man hated Frank more than anyone: Detective Richie Roberts. Roberts was different, honest, disciplined, relentless. While others took bribes, he hunted Frank like a mission. Roberts built a special narcotics unit. They tapped phones, followed cars, watched warehouses. They tracked Frank's money, not the drugs. The financial trail told the real story. Frank married Eva, a young Cuban beauty queen. He showered her with diamonds, furs, and cars. The newspapers called them Harlem royalty. One night, a car pulled up and sprayed bullets at Frank's family. Glass shattered. Frank hit the ground. Eva screamed. A bullet grazed Frank's stomach. But he lived. Within days, his enemies started disappearing. Men were shot in hallways. Bodies found in abandoned buildings. Everybody understood the message. Lucas's import pipeline didn't slow. His suppliers doubled production. His profits doubled with them. He believed himself untouchable. This was the strange part. Frank donated to charities, gave food to homeless families, sat in front pews like a saint. But after church, he sent men to kill. He controlled both ends, wholesale and street sales. Dealers paid him percentages. He enforced peace with terror. Hospitals overflowed. Babies born addicted. Families destroyed. Frank called it just business. On January 28, 1975, during the Super Bowl, agents raided Frank's home. They found millions hidden inside furniture and walls. They finally caught the king. His brothers were arrested. His cousins were locked up. His network shattered in a single day. Harlem felt the shock like an earthquake. Eva left him. His soldiers refused to talk to him. Frank realized, power disappears faster than it comes. Frank made the ultimate decision: cooperate. He gave names. He exposed corrupt cops and rival dealers. Over 100 officers went down. He testified against heroin suppliers, street bosses, smuggling partners. He burned every bridge he walked on. He saved himself by killing others. Frank Lucas received 70 years in prison. But because of cooperation, it was reduced. He walked out after only 5 years. He was older, slower, and broke. The streets had changed. Crack cocaine took over. Nobody respected the ghost of a king. Frank tried to restart businesses. None succeeded. Money slipped through his fingers. He didn't understand the new Harlem. He got caught dealing again. Another 7 years. It was almost pathetic. A legend chasing memories. Hollywood came calling. American Gangster hit theaters. Denzel Washington wore the crown of Frank Lucas. The world learned his story. Interviews portrayed Frank as a businessman, even a hero. But Harlem remembered the needles, bodies, and funerals. It remembered the addiction he brought. Frank always said, "If I didn't sell it, someone else would." He believed he was simply efficient, not evil. Families disagreed. Wives lost their husbands. Children grew up without parents. People died in alleys clutching blue magic bags. In later years, Frank talked about regret. He cried in interviews, but some said he was just protecting his legacy. Age crippled him. He moved through Harlem in a wheelchair. Once a god, now a broken man. Relatives cared for him. He lived quietly in New Jersey. No more diamonds, no more soldiers, just memories. Kids whispered his name. Rap songs mentioned him. His empire became folklore. The American dream twisted into poison. Frank Lucas proved one thing: you can destroy a city and still be called brilliant. You can poison thousands and still be famous. Frank Lucas died in 2019. No crowds, no applause. Just a man who once conquered Harlem and lost everything. Even today, addicts remember the brand. It became a symbol of purity, power, and death. A drug so strong that people sold their souls. Investigators later revealed how deep it went. Military cargo, bribed officers, secret flights. Frank built a network that outsmarted governments. He exposed the Special Investigations Unit, a police squad that stole millions. The public thought Frank was the villain, but the cops were worse. The Italians never forgave him. They hated that a black gangster did what they couldn't. He was their nightmare. Independent, fearless, unstoppable. Frank never got high, never drank, never partied. He believed emotion was weakness. His heart was made of ice. He trusted blood more than talent. They weren't gangsters. They were farmers. But he turned them into one of the strongest cartels in America. He paid everyone. If you fed people, they obeyed. If they didn't, you made them disappear. Frank created a cruel balance. He helped the poor with donations while killing them with heroin. He was the savior and the executioner. Every decision traced back to Bumpy. Frank copied the empire he couldn't inherit. He wanted to be more than a lieutenant. He wanted to be the king. In interviews, Frank preached like a pastor. He spoke about redemption, destiny, God. But behind every word was a river of blood. Was Frank Lucas a genius businessman? Or one of the greatest destroyers of black communities in American history? Only Harlem can answer.